Hello, welcome to another one of my videos. Today we are going to attach squares to make a blanket. These are more or less, I don't even know how big they are. I made them so long ago. Let me see. They 8 centimeters, almost 3.5 inches. That's neither here nor there, except if you want to know the size of your blanket, then you would make appropriate amount of squares. I've randomly selected some colors and separated them so that when I'm sewing them together, I can say the blue or the green or whatever. But normally I'd lay them all out on a bed and decide what pattern I want to do. I'm going to join them with white, and I've made a white background. But it won't really matter because where I'm joining them together, it's more about where I'm going into the stitch than the actual completion of the stitch. I'll be using single crochet. I'm using the same hook that I used to make these. It's a 4.5. I have a bunch of markers. This is just to show you exactly where I'm going in. But once you get, sorry, I'm so huffy puffy. Once you get used to the process, you won't have to use markers. This is just simply to start it off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a marker of one color at the beginning of each square as it's facing me. I'll use a marker of a different color at the end of each square as it's facing me. And that is simply so that you can see where we're going. Now I will be working around, so I'm going to place markers first on this square, that square, and that square, that square. So I will be starting here down the bottom. I'll be attaching these two squares. They'll be back to back. I'll be going up to this corner, and then I'll be attaching those two squares back to back, or what you would call wrong side together. And I'll be ending here and cutting the yarn. And then I'll be starting here. I'll be working those back to back, come to the corner, work those back to back. I'll come to this corner, and I will this is what you need to see. You need to see how I've joined the corners. Then I will go to those ones, and I'll work all the way up, turn, and work those ones together. Once you've seen how to do this corner, that will be repeated for all the other corners. So once you add more, I start in one corner and I work out. And you can go as far as you want till you get the desired width. And then you will just work your way up. You can put a graph first if you want to. You can graph your colors. If all the squares are the same, then it really won't matter because you'll just have a big box and pick them up as you need them. So let's get started. First thing is we need to mark the beginning and the end of the row. And according to the size of the square, in this case I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 clusters. I do not have a chain in between. This is a compact granny square. I have a video on that. As you can see, I have changed sides with each row, which means I've worked in the reverse. So that's why you have knobbles here. There's the pattern. Let me see. Just make sure they're all the same because sometimes an error can sneak in and I can actually have the flower facing up that way because I did the first row erroneously. In this case, they're fine. I am going to put this little guy into the first V that I'll be working on. when I'm joining the squares together. I will be working in the chain. I'll be working into this space as well to join them, but that is easy to see. What you will need to know is where is the first V. And the first V lies to the right hand side of, I'm going to call this a post. It's a stitch. In US terms, this is a double crochet. In British terms, I think it's a triple crochet. So I'm going to put it to the right hand side of that post. I'm going to go all the way to the end of the row, and I'm going to put the yellow one to the right hand side of the last post. So do you see? It doesn't matter how big your square is. It can be small, it can be big. This is where they will go. Obviously, if you have granny squares that have chain in between, well, that doesn't matter because they will be lying between that stitch and that stitch. This happens just to be a compact square. I'm going to do the same process with this one here. I'm going to pick it up, put the purple one in there, beginning of the row, put the yellow one to the right hand side of the last post. You can see where the corner is. You can see where the corner is. And I'm going to put him down. I'm working on this one next. Where is the beginning of the row? There it is. To the right hand side of the post. And to the right hand side of that post. So all very well, you say. Now what? Well, I don't know why I've got my what I got that voice on. Anyway, we're going to start here. And by starting, I mean we're going to make a slip knot. I'll leave a little bit of tail because I need to work it away later. So have enough that you can actually put onto your darning needle. Put it in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be picking up the first two. And what you can see is you have the colors. That color is now with the yellow, and that color is with that. And why is that? You see? You see what's happened? So what's happened is you haven't got a mirror because that one here is on that side. It's not a mirror. They literally are reversed. And once you start to understand the psychology of what's going on, it'll make sense when you're sewing up the rows. Because if you are looking for the same thing on this side that's happening on that side, you're not going to find it. I don't know what's wrong with my focus. Let me move these guys away, because if that is fiddling with my focus. So you see what's going on. You are literally working with a different section of the square. You're not working with that side. You are working with this side. So you are going to have a different makeup. And if you turn it around and you look at the makeup, what do you see? You see that he's lying there. So you're going to go into this one. You're going to go into that one there. But he is actually right in the corner I know it's a bit boring, but it really helps if you understand. He's actually right in the corner, but this guy, if you made a mistake, you would think, oh, well, I need to work in the one that's right in the corner. No, you actually can be working one that's to the left. You see? He is to the left of the post. See the post there? It's the back side. You're going into this one, which is to the right of the post, and you're going to be going into that one, which is to the left of the post. You're going to go all the way to the end. You're going into this one, which is to the right of the post. But if you look on that side, you're like, what? Yep, he is to the left of that third post. There's your corner. So that's what you need to understand, that you are sewing into the back of the square, not the front. So we're going to start. And I'll pull the guys out as I go into them. But we're going to start off by going into that corner. It's a bit fiddly with these guys, and that's why I said once you understand the makeup, you will not need them. You're going to go into the corner space, and you start in your row, so you're attaching it. You're bringing it through, but I'm not going to make a single crochet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way through, and I'm going to put it as tight as possible, both the tail and this, to really join those two together. Nice tight join. Let me see what that is. I think that is a little bit of my... Hang on. Okay, problem solved. I just had to move the camera on its stand. So I have joined them nice and tightly together, and then I'm going to chain one. After that, because now the corners are joined, after chaining that one, I'm now going to go into this guy here. So I'll take out, see where he is, he's to the right of the post, put the hook in, going to the other side, and he is to the left of the post. You say, okay, well that's easy enough. Go on to the left of the post, you pull your yarn through, and you pull the yarn through again, and you make a single crochet. So now you have joined your two squares together, and you are starting the row. It's easy sailing all the way to the end. I'll leave these in because what can sometimes happen, especially it happens on the back, is you miss a square. I mean, you miss a V, and then your count will be completely out. So here goes. You're going into this one here. You're going behind. I'm opening it up like a sandwich so you can see what you're doing, but it's not necessary once you start working. You'll figure out a way to be able to find it. Pull it through, and you single crochet again. Don't pull hard, don't pull tight. Nice, comfortable. I've pulled this yarn over here to make it a nice, comfortable single crochet. It's not gaping, but I'm not pulling each one tight when I'm working along the sides. In the corner, it's a different story. Going into the next one, you can just flip it over. Whatever you have to do. That focus is crazy. And another single crochet. Go in. And the next one. And the next one. And you'll be literally working across the whole square like this. As I said, you find a way that you can look at them. There we go. Whether you have to flip it open or open the thing like a sandwich. When you get to the end, you'll see if you miscounted. Now, what sometimes happens is when I'm making the square, I've forgotten a post. So instead of having 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, I'll have 2 there. It's rare, but it happens. Not that rare, it actually happens more often than I'd like to mention. Also, when you're sewing them up and you're making the invisible V, if you've miscalculated where to put the V in, the invisible V, you can either have one extra V or one that, you're missing a V because you've basically worked into the wrong place. And if that's the case, you need to adapt. So if you have too many on this side, not enough on that side, you'll literally go in, you'll go back into that one there, and you'll make one. And that way you can compensate if you have an error. But what happens when you come to the end is try and work out, if you haven't got the right count, work out why. And it could simply be that you've actually, and it's usually on this side, that you've jumped over a V. So I'm just going to go back a little bit to make sure. By the time you get to this point, you'll see quite quickly whether you've gone wrong. There's 1, 2, 3 left. There's 1, 2, 3 left. So I am quite confident that I haven't miscounted somewhere. Oops, now. 1, 2. This is the last one. It is to the right hand side of the post. Take it out, put it in. This guy there, he is to the left hand side of the post. Take it out, put it in, and now that edge has been completed, but I still need to do the corner. I go into the whole space of the corner, I go into the space of the corner, I make a single crochet, and I chain 2. Now if I went along this one, I'll be making a little tiny pocket, which I don't want to do. What I want to do is add another square. So he's going to come on there. Let me add in these guys. This one is to the right of the corner. Let me zoom in. This one is to the right of the corner. The right of the post. This side is also to the right of the post. Take this other square, be putting the work back to back. As you can see, the contrasting colors. So my corner is, I went through the 2 loops of this one. Now if you miss that, and it happens, it's very sad, because you're going to have a little bit of a distortion there. When I was first starting out, I'd actually turn my work over and I would check that I had 4 little posts here. You'll see later. I'm now joining the 2 together. So I'm going to go literally back into the corner space. And this one here, I'm going to go into that corner space. And I'm going to make another single crochet. Now I have officially joined my new square. The purple one is to the right hand side of the post. Take them out. This one is to the left hand side of the post because you're working through the back of the square. Take them out. And I make a single crochet. I now have officially started the side. I'll be working all the way across until I get there, and that'll be the end of my row and the edge of my blanket. So I'll be cutting the yarn. Just going to go right across. I won't push pause, I'll just do it in real time. these, the back and the front. Can be a little bit tricky depending on how tight I was working my squares. It's a random selection of yarns, not all from one company, so they're all 100% acrylic, and they're all advertised as double knit. Come right to the end. The next stitch is there. The right hand side of the post is the yellow one, and the purple one is to the left hand side of the post. I'll take them both out. And I'll work that final stitch into the edge. Now, I'm not going to cut the yarn yet because I'm not finished. I need to go in that space of the corner. So this is how the edge would normally be if I was going to be adding more squares. If you want to, you can end it like this, but I have actually found a way that I prefer. As I said, it's your creative decision. What I do is I chain one, and then I make a slip stitch, pull it tight, pull the yarn through again. Now, why do I do that? Where's my scissors? Do I even have a pair of scissors here? Cut my yarn. Cutting that tail long enough to actually work it away. So why did I end that way? Pulling it out. I ended it that way because that's how I started it. I started with a tight slip knot joining them. I chained one, and then I started my single crochets. So I decided I'm going to end it the same way. Chain one and close it off with a tight slip knot. Then when I come to working the edge, which I will do later on, these tails will be sewn securely away. Sorry about that. My SD card just decided it was full and stopped the video. So I'm not too sure exactly where I stopped, but I was just saying that when I do the edge, I'll be sewing this securely away. And I like to do the edge in the same color, so it'll be in white, and it will literally blend in. How do I do the next one? I'm going to add the squares like that. I'm going to start here. It'll be exactly the same as that. I'll go around this corner. It'll be exactly the same. And I'll come here. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to meet you there simply because I don't know how much storage I have and I do want to finish this video. So let's start there and go all the way there, and then we'll meet each other up there. So here we are. As you can see, it's exactly the same, but I've come to the corner, and unlike the edge where I finish off the way I finish off an edge, I'm coming to a corner. I've done the last stitch on each side. I've made sure that I've got my count right, and now I'm going to be doing the single crochet into the chain space, into the corner space, my single crochet, and then normally I would chain 2 and go along the other edge, but in this case I'm going to chain 1, pull the loop big, I'm going to go underneath the chain 2 of the corner that's already there. I'm going to fetch my loop, bring it through. I'm going to open up my square to make sure that I'm working correctly, see where I'm going, fold the 2 sides together that I'll be working together now. I will chain 1, which is now attached that corner together with the one that I've just made. I'll be finding my spaces of my corner, and I'll be single crocheting them together. Give it a nice tight tug. And that is how you join the corners. And working my edges together. Now I don't have the markers, but as I said, once you get to know the makeup of your square, you won't need to have the markers. So I've worked along the side, I've come to the end again, got one more on this side, one more on that side. I'm working into my corner space with a single crochet. I'm chaining 2 because I know I'm adding another square. And where is he? He's over there. That's the edge. And I'll be continuing until the edge. I've reached the end of this row and working into the corner. Normally I would just do a single crochet, but because it's the edge, remember I chain 1, then I slip stitch straight into there, give it a tight tug, fetch the yarn again and pull it through to make a nice knot over that. Cut a generous tail and pull it through. Now my edge is complete. My row is complete. This one's spraying out a bit. It's a different yarn. It comes from Aldi. It's got a different spring than this one, but it is what it is. This one also has got a strange spring. These yarns are all different, and I was hoping they would sew up nicely, so we'll have to see how it's going to go when I've actually added the edge. Now when you turn it over, as you can see, it gives a nice neat backside. And there is my little four corners. This one has 2 so far. When I add the next square in, you'll get the 4. Very neat ending. I'm going to fetch another blanket just to show you what it looks like when I've added the edge to it. I wasn't able to fetch it because it's in a room where someone is sleeping. I don't want to wake them up. What I basically did was crochet an edge, but I started from that side. I have actually made a video of it before I sewed it together. So hopefully when I upload that, I'll put a link in the description box. Here is another, this is a little test square I made. It could be a cushion cover or a little cat blanket. So when I first, this was one of my first ones, and when I sewed it up, I literally made a single crochet on the edge. And if you look carefully, I literally went around like that at the end of the row, and I went around like that and I ended there. So the row would be coming like this, and I went around and ended there. That's also an option if you want, but with my latest project, I actually literally made a nice big border of 3 rows of double crochets, which looks very nice. But this is an option. What it basically means is you would not have ended there. You would have continued all the way around to here. And here, when you've come here, you would not have ended there. You would have done all the way to there and ended there and sewn that in. And this guy would have been all the way here. And the next one, you would have come up. You would not have ended there. You would have gone all the way. This wouldn't be a tail here because this one would be all the way there. You'd come here and you'd end here. And you would sew it in. And that's how I got this. Sorry, it's shaking. And that's how I got this. You can see nicely here on the back of this one. This yarn is all style craft here in the UK. And I used a 4mm crochet hook. So I continue with the corners exactly as if it was a normal corner. You can see there. And it's only when the yarn came to the end that I sewed it off. It's one of my early ones. Let me see if there's an error somewhere. Because sometimes, no, this one looks okay. But also a much larger blanket, which I'm also still busy working on. But I do like these multicolors. So one can really play around. This is also a compact square. Each row is reversed. This is a compact square, just has a little flower in there. I might have a video with that, I don't know. It doesn't really matter what your center is. These are all rows of compact square. So that's how you start your blanket, and you just literally continue till it's the width you want. Once you know what width it is, then with either your graph, or you'll have somehow worked out how you're going to lay it out. You wouldn't start down here because you don't have any more squares. You'd start there and zigzag your way up. So if you only wanted it to be 6 wide, because you wanted like this, you wanted to make a cushion cover, it would look like that. As I said, you can make it as big as you want. But that is the basic technique. So it's very simple. And as I said, whatever edging you want, give it a thought beforehand. For instance, with this one, if I wanted to sew it onto something, then I could. But as I said, it can just be left like that. If you made 2 of these, you could then put them back to back, and you could crochet all the way around the edge, and you could literally close it. Well, if you want to put something inside first, obviously a cushion, then you'd put your cushion, you put them back to back. Not crochet, you would single crochet them all the way around the edge, and then you could have a nice compact little cushion. So there's lots of ways what you can do with it afterwards. Let's just give it a bit of forethought before you actually decide how you're going to end your edges. Well, thanks very much for watching. A bit of a rough and ready video. And I'm going to be putting these all into the section of joining blankets. Basically, I don't know what I'm going to call the playlist. But as I've done a couple of different ones, and I just want to take a couple of videos, show and tell of the different blankets that I've made, so you can see the results that you can get by using different edgings and stuff. I'm busy with something else in here. Here's another one. Once again with the black. And why there's this size, simply because I had 36 squares. I made a huge amount of squares a couple of months ago. I eBayed a couple of them, but the ones that didn't sell, I just decided to use myself. This is a bag, and as luck would have it, by sewing them together, the bag fitted in. And I worked it in a way that it actually goes around, and closed it off on the one side. So it was basically like a large thing like this. I closed it like that, like a sandwich. Remember earlier on I was talking about if you join two squares together, you can make a little pocket. Well, if you make it large enough, you can make a bag. And I bought these online on eBay, pre-washed and pre-shrunk them because they did shrink down. And I just need to, with this color here, I'm going to make a nice edge so that when I sew it on with the same colored sewing thread, it will just dissolve in. This color here is from Poundland. It's quite springy. It has something in it, gives it a bit of elastic, so I wanted to test that out. It doesn't make the colors pop as much as the black. Exactly the same. This is Stylecraft, but you can see how different it is when you choose a different yarn for attaching them together. So there's so many fun things that you can do from just a simple granny square. Well, thank you very much, and bye for now.